Hello everybody and welcome back with CAC, and welcome to our first Make and Do Monday, where we're going to be working on various creative projects here in real life with our own two hands. So, thing I'm going to do today is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is to make my own Ita Bag. Which is a trend from Japan. If you're not familiar, they are basically backpacks or sometimes side carry bags, which have a panel cut out with clear plastic where you can put all your fandom stuff like badges and key rings and little plushies and whatever it is to carry around with you as you go. The only thing that's put me off about Ita bags before, like getting a proper official one, is that they're always really small. They're always like about this big. You know, not much bigger than my head, whereas I have a lot of stuff. I tend to carry a lot of stuff around with me, so I've always wanted a larger bag, but I've just never been able to find any sort of like official Ita bags which are big enough. So I decided to go and make my own. I had a look around. There are a few sort of like mini tutorials, and I thought, let's give it a go and see if I can make myself a large Ita bag for my own stuff to put in, and, you know, not have it be too tiny. So, first things first, when you're making your own bag, you're going to need, obviously, a backpack. Doesn't particularly matter which kind, you just want to make sure it's big enough for your liking and that it's sturdy enough and has the right sort of shape. I've gone for this one. A nice little unicorn one, but we're going to be getting rid of that. Now, sometimes when you have a backpack, you might have, sort of like along the front here, a front pocket. If you have one of those, you're going to want to take it off yourself to leave you with the flat surface. If you just want the small pocket on the front, and then that's fine, you can just apply this tutorial to that rather than the rest. But I wanted the full one to maximise the amount of space I can show off. So, if you have one without a front pocket like this, what you're going to want is one with an inner lining. So, if I show you the front here, on the inside there's a lining which pulls away, like that. Now that is so that you can cut the front off and still have the lining at the back to sort of act as the back of the pocket where you're gonna, you know, pin the badges to. Now, if you don't have an inner lining, if you don't have one of these, you can make one yourself. I've decided to make one myself just because this one is two separate bits here and they're kind of sewn together. So I'm gonna effectively cut the whole thing out and then make my own lining. So what I did for that is this pocket here, I turned it completely inside out, all the way out like that, so that the bottom ridges are visible. And what I did is, once it was all turned inside out, I fetched a bit of tissue paper and traced around the inside of the pocket. So I pressed it right up against the seam, traced all the way around it. The reason I did it from the inside and not the outside is because obviously the inside is slightly bigger because of how it's been sewn at the bottom there. So basically, I took my template, popped it on some ordinary plain cotton, drew around it, and then cut it out to that shape, and then sewed it all to the inside so that it has an inner lining. Now, I'll sew this up a little bit more later on, but it's just there for now, all sewn in at the bottom and then turned back in the right way to make sure it fits. So that's sort of like the setup. If you have one with an inner lining, you don't have to worry about doing that. If you don't have one with an outside pocket, you don't have to worry about taking that off. So, other things you're going to need for this are felt or foam for your pin board. I'll explain that later. A fabric of your choice, also for the pin board. You're going to need a sheet of plastic which will fit over your chosen pocket, and it has to be a very sort of soft, malleable plastic. It can't be the hard plastic, sort of like acetate sheets, the kinds you would use on you know, sort of like projectors, that kind of thing. It has to be the soft, malleable. So I've just gone with these document envelopes. And of course you'll also need an adhesive. Ideally you'd want a hot glue gun, because hot glue gun holds the plastic really well. Unfortunately my hot glue gun is currently elsewhere and I'm unable to access it, so I've just gone with double-sided tape. A bit of a temporary measure, but when it comes down to it I can use the hot glue gun to fix it up later. So to get started, we're going to need scissors, obviously, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut sort of as much of this portion out as I can without going right up to the edge. You'll need a certain amount left over to actually affix the plastic to when you fix the plastic on. So I'm just going to get in there and start snipping. Again, I'm not too worried about the inner lining at the moment because I've made myself an extra one. So I'm just going to cut through the whole thing. Try and keep it sort of straight and even. If I can hold up a bit, I'll just move my camera down slightly so you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. If you have got an inner lining or you've fixed one in yourself, do make sure you're not cutting through that as well, otherwise, well, you're going to be ruining your work, really. So I'm not going to go right down to the bottom, just leave about 1 centimetre on each side. That should be enough room to affix your plastic. Just put your hand in to pull it away from the back. I have snipped a little bit of my lining out at the bottom, but as it's at the bottom, it's not gonna make too much difference, thankfully, because I am gonna make a pin board for the back, which I'll show you in just a moment once I'm finished with this bit. So again, put your hand in to pull it away from the lining. Okay, so that's the old bit. Don't need that anymore. That's all done. We've got inner lining there, we'll put the zip back up. So yeah, open window. So the inner lining is a bit bigger because this is a custom one, but I've left the top open to fix later, so it's not much of an issue right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut out the plastic and stick it in this surrounding bit here. So just going to go do that. So we take that half that doesn't have the document slip on the front here. So just snip off the little zip lock there and around the sealed edges as well. So we've got our plastic sheet. Again, it's rather soft and flexible, not too stiff. Stiff isn't going to work, it's going to be far too rigid. So we get our stencil back and just sort of make sure it's about big enough. Yep, just about there. And then whoop, we put that inside our window shape that we've cut out. And then we're going to stick it on the inside again. Oh, I will have to cut the bottom bit off though. We need to round it out, round out the corners. There we go. Now yes, ideally I would be using hot glue gun, but I currently don't have it, so I'm going to just be using this double-sided sticky tape to hold it in place until such time as I am able to get my glue gun. So, pop the bag to one side for a second, and just put a strip along the bottom here. That sellotapes to the bottom of the plastic, and then if I just snip that around there, oops, then peel that off. There we go. So double-sided sticky, and we attach that to the bottom of the window. So there we go, there's a start, stuck in the bottom, and we'll just do the same on the rest of the sides. So I'll just come back once I've finished that. Okay, and that is all attached. We've got a nice little plastic window there to put things in. It's not the most tidy, the edges are a little bit rough, but I'm going to go back over those later and sort of like do a little paint on them just to, you know, tidy up, making it pretty. And I put a little bit of the vinyl material on the top here just to protect the top and make sure it doesn't leak in. So that's it for the window. Again, the lining, not going to trim that down just yet, because the first thing we're going to do is make a pin board. Now, having a pin board is basically to protect the back lining, to make sure it doesn't all fall apart. Let me sort my video out there. And just to make sure that well, again, it's protected, and so when you pin things in and out, it won't tear the back lining and make it all ratty. And it also means you can take the pin board out and then arrange things as you want them, and you can swap them out for other pin boards. So you could have one for each fandom and then make different ones for different fandoms, so that you don't have to sort of redecorate the entire Ita bag just you know, to put a new arrangement of things on. So the reason I've decided to make one is because at the moment I'm really into Kirby, and I love Kirby collectibles, and I just want to keep a little bit of that with me on a day-to-day basis while I'm you know, out and about, just to give me something to smile about. So I've decided I'm going to make a Kirby pinboard. I got some of this material custom printed. I believe the website was called Cortado or something like that. It was a UK website anyway, and I'll put it down in the description. So if you want to get any custom things printed just as a little quick sheet, a quick sample sheet or what have you, you can get it from them rather than having to buy a big long roll that you might not use the entire thing of. So with the pinboard, you can either use foam, the sort of flexible card foam, or something else that's fairly durable, and I've gone for felt because it's quite thick, quite strong, but it's also, you know, soft and easy enough to put pins through. And again, I've measured it out to the size of the of the pocket here, and I might need to trim it down a little because I don't think it's gonna fit entirely in if it is exactly the same size. No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trim a little bit from around the edges, just so that it'll fit inside a little more easily. Okay, so that's the excess trimmed off, and you can see it fits nice and snug into the pocket there, and it just slides out nice and easy. It's a little tricky to get it in at the moment, but once we sew up the back of that lining, it should be fine. So what I'm going to do now is just lay this out here. Let's move my keyboard out of the way, and then just measure it up to the pattern. Pattern is a little bit smaller than the actual foam, felt itself, but that's fine. I've just put a little bit of a trim around the edges, which I'll then fold over so that there's no seams on it. So I'm just going to pop this down here and then make sure it's all lined up nicely, or at least as neat as I can get it. And then I will get out my fabric glue, which I just pop to the side of my station here, and then just sort of glue this around the edges of the fabric. So I just peel at the sides here, work from the top and then go around. Whoops. Let's go around the foam, as that's the shape we have to match. Just a very thin line around the edge here. Careful of the fingers. Then just fold it back there. It'll take a little while to dry, but we just sort of like press down as we go. Apply pressure. I'll do the rest of the bottom later. I just want to get the top in place first, just because it's got the curve around the side. So if I can get the curve right, then the bottom will just fall into place nicely without too much trouble. If the glue will actually come off, that's the problem with glue like this. Sometimes it has a tendency to stick to itself or stick to the nozzle, which is a bit annoying, a bit counterproductive for what we're trying to do. And just put down some pressure on it to help it stick. It is going to pick up threads as you go along. That's just part of working with fabric glue. You're not going to be able to help that. You just need to wipe it off as you go along and carry on, really. Okay, that should cover both sides there, and then we just have to do the bottom as well. Just the last little bit on the bottom here. Everything else was already covered. That's good. Okay, so that's done that to hold it into place. Just stretch it out, make sure there's no folds. There we go, looks lovely. And then once that's done, you want to fold the edges over here and then glue the edges so that they stick to the back. The back can be all untidy and frayed. You don't have to worry about these little bits because no one's going to be seeing them on the back. So I'm just going to finish folding over and gluing it so that it's nice and neat, and then I will be right back to show you the finishing touches. Okay, so that's all folded in nice and tidy. So we've just got a regular pinboard for the back. So let's just pop that into the bag itself and see how that looks. Just slide it in there. Make sure it's down to the bottom. Straighten it out. And there we go. Lovely, a nice fit. And it just makes a nice protective backboard so that the lining at the back isn't ruined when you put things in. So now that that's all sorted out, all that remains is to actually affix things to the backboard. So let's go and get some collectibles and decorate the bag. Okay, so I don't have any Kirby themed things just yet in regards to like key rings or badges or pins or what have you. So I'm just going to decorate the reverse side with a few things that I do have, just to give you a sort of idea of what you can do with them, and on the reverse side just so that I don't damage the front for when I actually do use it for Kirby stuff. So this is just an example. First thing I'm going to put up is one of my own creations. This is a little Jotaro and Kakyoin double-sided keyring. One of my own designs, made it myself, and they are for sale on my store Envy, so I will put a link down in the description if you want to go and buy one for yourself, because I'm desperate to get some eyes on my merch at the moment. There's a lot of stuff in my store and I'm just not getting engagement in it, so maybe go check it out and hit the share button on the item itself to put it on social media and tell your friends. Next, I'm going to use a little design, the Scp Logo. This is a 3D printed design which was made by my sibling, who has their own 3D printing modelling service. This is just something very simple they did for me, but they do all sorts of things. They've done cookie cutters, and their main thing that they're doing and selling prints of is Dungeons and Dragons figures. Here's another little plug, this time not for me, this is for my sibling, and here's one of my Dungeons and Dragons figures, which they completely modelled from scratch and printed using their own 3D model. So again, I'll put the link down in the description, you guys can go and check that out if you want to take a look. This time another badge designed by my other sibling. This was designed by my brother for one of our roleplay games. Again, this time it was Star Wars themed though. This isn't available for purchase, but this is the logo of our group from the Star Wars game. This is our company logo, Ember Star, so I'm going to pop that on there as well. This one is kind of one of my designs, except I didn't actually do this myself from scratch. This is just an edit of the existing Kakyoin keyring, but I've edited it to reflect a sort of part 4 design for him. So he's got like glasses, he's got a different set of different jacket, and he's got longer hair. Got the scars on there as well, but I don't think that showed up on the camera very well. But that's just a little redesign of an official thing that I thought I might put on there as well. Next, a couple more badges. These ones are gifts that were bought for me by a couple of different friends. Here we have Kakyoin from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Kaz, who is my favourite JoJo character. And I'm gonna pop these on there as well. Next, a couple of Pride themed things. First is bottle opener with the asexual flag on it. And then I'm also going to put up the Positive Mental Attitude Pride badge, which I got from Jacksepticeye when he did charity for, I think it was the Trevor Project, the LGBT charity. And that's something I definitely wanted to get because, well, it was supporting a charity for people like me. And I think Jack does a really good job of, you know, doing charity fundraisers. So yeah, I thought that was an important one to pick up. And the final thing, something just a little bit random, I am going to keep this one for when I do the Kirby side, just because I want to be able to put Kirby on a little donut. So this is just an extra little cute addition to put on it, just to round the whole thing off. And there we have just a smattering of random things, just to give you a sort of idea of what an Ita bag could look like and what you could use it for. So I'm just going to pop this into the pocket that we made on the front. Hold on to the lining at the back so that it doesn't sort of fold in on itself, and it keeps its shape as you go in. It might take a little bit of poking and prodding around to make sure it lands in the right place. I think I've put a couple of things too high up on the window, but for the most part that's the sort of thing you're looking at. So you can see through the window all your stuff, and there's enough room to put sort of thick squidgy things in there as well, and it will still zip up. So now that everything's been measured out and we know sort of the size you're looking for, you've got the rest of the lining around here. I mentioned before that I made it a bit too big. You can now sort of trim around the edge and sew a little bit more up to say about 3/4 of the way up, so you just have a quarter left to flap when you need to put it in and take it out. And then that will be sort of like the end of making the Ita Bag's window and lining. Then the rest of it just comes from how you want to decorate it. You can decorate the outsides, you can, this one's already got sort of like zip fobs on them, but you can take them off, replace them with key rings for what you like, and just make it into sort of your own sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish decorating all the random little bits, and then when it's all done I'll come back and I'll show you the finished product with how it's all going to look inside. And I think I'll hold off till I do get the Kirby things that I want, so I can show you how it looks all Kirbyfied, nice and full and ready to go. So yeah, that is your guide to making an Ita Bag. I have to say the most difficult part of the project was actually being able to find a bag this size. I think the only reason I was able to find it is because I took a look around sort of in late August, mid to late August, and everyone's sort of like, all the kids going back to school, even though it's 2020 and sending kids back to school at the moment with COVID going on is a very bad idea, but that happened anyway, so we're just gonna forget about that and pretend that it's not a problem. So yes, if this video is being released in the future, well, I'm sure we'll see how it all turned out when they all went back to school, but that's neither here nor there, and I'm going wildly off topic. So yes, I sort of picked it up at the stage when back to school was tapering out, things were getting a little bit cheaper. So finding something like this that isn't either a really tiny bag or a big massive rucksack that doesn't have flat panels might be a bit difficult. So you probably have to be willing to pay a little bit more money. It's probably about the price or maybe a bit more expensive than a regular Ita Bag, but again, normal Ita Bags tend to be a lot smaller, whereas this, it actually has like a laptop panel on the inside, so this is made for carrying big stuff, which is what I wanted. I wanted an Ita Bag that would carry big stuff. So I will show you my finished project when I've finished doing all the decorating, and you can see how it looks. So I'll just put that from Future CAC in this next section here. Hey guys, so I'm just going to give a very quick update on my Ita Bag. This is how far it's come so far. A little bit creased in the back there. I'm going to straighten that out. Anyway, not important. This is my current little collection of Kirby things. I've got keychains, I've got pins, and there's some down the bottom here. Some of them are fan-made that I've bought from Etsy, and some of them are official, like the little mochi, and this is a Kirby ice cream ball here. He keeps twisting around though. Where is he? He's in there somewhere. There he is! There's our little Kirby. Okay, so yeah, I'm still waiting for more things to arrive so I can fill it up, pin badges and stuff. This one here, little Kirby with the one on top, I made that myself as part of my resin crafting. On my Store Envy store you can see things like that I can make for you. This little cross stitch boy here, he was made by my sibling. They did some cross stitch for me and made it into a little badge. And then as for the bag itself, I've got some decorations from the Kirby ice cream here. There we are, Kirby Ice. I've put a bunch of stickers around the outside. They're kind of temporary for the moment because they do peel and flake off. I want to eventually replace those with embroidery patches. And I've put some on the handles as well. So it's still very much a work in progress, but you get the general sort of idea of what your Ita bag is going to look like when you finish it and when you decorate it. So yeah, still a work in progress. I still probably have to come back to it again in future and show you guys, but for now, there we go. Okay, so yep, that was the make and do Ita bag session. I hope it was easy enough for you guys to follow along. I do apologise for the whole gluing thing. I didn't have my hot glue gun, so things didn't go as expected. Unfortunately, I left it in a place that I wasn't able to get to, but because it's been closed down due to Corona, which was during the time that I made this. I'm hoping by the time this video goes out, Corona will at least be dealt with by now, but that's a bit of wishful thinking. Again, going off topic. So yes, thank you for joining me. If you make your own Ita bags, please tell me about it and show me how they look and how that you've decorated them. Yeah, it'd be really nice to see if you were able to follow my guide to make your own. So yes, thank you for joining me for today's video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Leave a comment on video with your thoughts and what you'd like to see. If you like my stuff, hit subscribe and help hit my channel's goals. And don't forget to share, tell your friends, and help me hit my current sub goals so I can give back to you guys too. See you next time.